Professor Hogwin?
Come in. Ah, Miss Ari.
Oh, wow. This is your office?
It's wonderful, isn't it? When I received my tenure, they offered me my own office on campus. When they asked how I would like it to be decorated, I told them, if you can stand with your face to the wall in any part of the room and not smell a book, you're doing it wrong. I filled the shelves from my own personal collection, but I have many more at home.
Your own personal library?
Please, I'm not unique among the professors of the Athenaeum in that regard. You should see Professor Lethbridge's collection.
I hope I get to have my own library one day.
With your vigor for academia, I have no doubt that you will. What can I do for you today, Miss Ari?
Oh, right. Sorry. I read the books you recommended to me last week.
All of them?
Yes.
I listed a number of hefty tomes on that piece of paper. You read all of that in a week.
I read fast, especially when I don't sleep.
Ah, to be young enough again to miss sleep and still be able to function. What did you find?
Honestly, not much that I didn't already know. I was meaning to mention that to you. Before I came to the Athenaeum, I had already done a good bit of self-study, and I feel like my time is being wasted in these lower-level courses.
Wasted? Ha! Miss Ari, I am sure you believe yourself to already be an expert. I was much the same way as a younger man. But the longer I studied, the more I realized what a fool I was for thinking so highly of myself when I had only just scratched the surface.
I don't think I'm some genius prodigy or something, but in each one of your classes so far, it's felt like I was being spoken to like a child. No offense. Is there any way I could skip ahead a few levels?
Well, I suppose I could administer you an entrance exam for intermediate theology.
What's the highest theology class there is?
The highest would be advanced divinity, but...
If I get a perfect score on the entrance exam, will you let me into that class?
Miss Ari, the test to get into advanced divinity is notorious for being the most difficult exam in the entire curriculum. Even fourth-year students rarely get a passing grade. It requires extensive knowledge of not only the history and nature of the gods, but also of divine magic and complex arcane calculus.
Well, it should put me right in my place then, shouldn't it? It certainly couldn't hurt to be humbled a little.
I suppose that is true. I'll give you a month to study, then I'll administer it to you myself.
Can I take it now?
You mean now?
With all due respect, Professor, the last 6 years of my life have been nothing but studying. I'm anxious to put that knowledge to some actual use.
Very well. I believe we had the scribes make a few extra copies this year. Just one moment.
That's a big stack of paper.
You may be here for a long time if you intend to stick it out to the end, but there's no shame in giving up partway through.
I have nowhere to be if you don't.
I'll be right here. Let me make you some tea while you work.
Oh, I'm done.
Already? It's only been an hour.
How long does it usually take?
We typically allot 4 hours to the fourth-year students.
Well, I finished.
And how confident do you feel in your performance?
There was one question that tripped me up, the one about calculating planetary alignment and ley line convergence, but I got it eventually.
That one was put there to be unsolvable.
Oh. I'm sorry for solving it then? Hey, while you grade the exam, can I peruse your bookshelves?
Be my guest. I'm shocked.
What? How did I do?
A perfect score. Actually, we don't usually count the question on planetary alignment and ley line convergence toward the final grade, so you somehow scored above perfect. This has never happened in the history of the Athenaeum.
So, does this mean I made it into the class?
How would you like to be my assistant instead?
assistant?
Your talents are clearly wasted on this curriculum. I believe the only way you could reasonably learn anything new here at the Athenaeum is if you work directly alongside a professor in their research. You would be given free rein and the resources to pursue your own research while aiding me in mine, and you would accompany me when I travel for fieldwork and other research-related trips.
Really?
If this is what you've managed to accomplish all on your own at such a young age, well, I quite selfishly could not bear to see such a promising young mind mentored by any other mage.
So, I'll be assisting you in your research, but I won't have to take the classes?
I think you would learn far more with a hands-on approach.
And I'd still be able to look into...
More than that, you would have my assistance in the matter. As assistant to a professor, you would gain access to restricted sections of the library and equipment that was previously off-limits to you. And any questions you may have, I am here to answer.
That's... yes! That would be amazing!
Wonderful. Meet me here tomorrow at noon, and I will go over your new responsibilities with you.
Of course! You won't regret this, Professor Hogwin, I promise!
No, I don't think I will.
Hello? Can you hear me? I don't know why I thought it would be different this time. You know, every time I hear you sing this melody, I swear that I know it. Or maybe knew it. When I became Mortaine's champion, I carried with me an endless catalog of songs and ballads that I knew from my life before. Never have trouble remembering those for some reason. But this one, some part of me knows the tune, but it's forgotten the words, if there ever were any. I find it comforting, though. Even if you don't speak back to me, you're the only person besides Mortaine that pays me frequent visits. Last month, I met a woman named Selenia. She came looking to erase her memories of something she did, or rather, didn't do, and the guilt haunted her like a ghost. Ever since then, this question has lingered in my head. What was I running from? Was my desire to forget my life because of something that happened to me? Or was it because of something that I did? Guilt and grief can feel awfully similar sometimes. You're a beautiful singer, whoever you are. I've often fantasized about singing a duet with a mysterious voice in my dreams. I tried getting Mortaine to do a duet with me once, but despite being a goddess, she's a lousy singer. For the last century, the only singing I've had the privilege of hearing are mine and yours, on the rare occasion that you decide to visit. I wish you would do it more often.
Wren?
You know my name? Wait, you heard me?
I could have sworn.
I'm here. Who are you? Please, give me something.
I keep singing this song thinking it will make me feel closer to you, but it just ends up making you feel even more distant. I hate being without you. I hate this place.
What place? Fuck, not now.
But she won't let me leave.
Damn it. Welcome to the Bardic Hearth. Come in.
All right.
What do you want to drink?
You know, I've been to countless taverns in my time, but I can't say I've ever been welcomed quite like this.
I'm sorry. It's nothing to do with you. I was having an important dream.
A dream, you say?
It's honestly not worth explaining.
Well, far be it from me to pry. I apologize for interrupting.
It's fine. So,
what?
usually this is the part where you're bewildered by the mysterious tavern in the middle of Manglewood and ask me what it's doing here.
I figured if you wanted me to know, you would tell me. And you don't exactly seem to be in a sharing mood. Besides, I've seen stranger things than this.
I find that hard to believe.
When you live a life as long as mine, nothing surprises you anymore.
And how long would that life be exactly?
Has no one ever taught you not to ask an elf his age?
One old man to another. I think at a certain point we just stopped caring.
This is my 1281st year.
Well, I don't know if I'm that old.
You sound unsure.
I'm 100 plus whatever age I was before I came here, and unfortunately the details of that are lost to me. Don't ask. I don't usually talk about it till later.
Still, an impressive age for a human, especially with the look of one so young.
You've held up pretty well yourself.
My secret is shea butter and elven magic. What's yours?
A complicated relationship with the goddess of death.
Ah, I thought you might have something to do with her. It makes sense now why no one knows the identity of Mortaine's champion.
From what I hear, most of the others like to remain discreet as well. Being the emissary of any one of the 9 gods is a hell of a target on your back.
9?
Yes?
Never mind. I think I misunderstood. Anyway, I don't think I caught your name.
I'm Wren.
My name is Aalos, and I believe I remember you mentioning drinks.
What do you fancy?
Anything sweet. Same for the food, if you have any.
I've got tea and plenty of honey. Oh, and a small crate's worth of spruce-dipped cookies that are about to go stale because I accidentally doubled the recipe.
Bring the whole batch.
The customer gets what the customer wants.
How often do you receive visitors? After making the journey myself, I can't imagine many wish seekers make it this far into the wood.
Maybe one every month or two.
For 100 years.
Isn't that just a drop in the ocean for you?
A century is a century, no matter how many of them I've lived. Days may seem like hours to me now, but 100 years is a long time to be alone, even for me.
Mortaine visits me from time to time. I'm not entirely alone.
Can one truly count a god as their friend?
She seems to see it that way.
And you trust her?
She's my goddess, and I'm her champion. Why wouldn't I?
Perhaps because she gave you no other choice.
You seem to mistrust the Pantheon.
Cynicism is a natural side effect of surviving the world they've neglected for so long. One has to wonder where in the hells they've been all this time.
It sounds like you've endured a lot.
The world has endured a lot, and we have accepted that to be the natural order of things. Mortal kind is trapped in a cycle of violence and calamity. A snake eating its own tail, never satisfied, never done consuming itself. Sons repeat the follies of their fathers, and kings forget what made their predecessors fall. Nothing ever changes.
On the contrary, change is ever present in everything and everyone. Its very existence makes us strive for something better.
And what about you? Has anything changed for you in the last century? Has your life become better?
Some changes take time, Aalos.
Time. I've lived for nearly a third of the history of Iathis, and it's all the same pattern. Evil rises, someone strikes it down, and another fleeting peace comes until another specter of suffering rises in its place. There's always another tyrant. there's always another war. There's always another reason to fight. No matter how tired we get.
And you think you have the solution for this cycle?
I am hoping your wishing well does.
You can't change the nature of mortal kind, Aalos.
You have not seen what I have seen. The cities I walked as a young man are ruins now. This planet has had many lives, and I have witnessed more than most. If you had witnessed them too, you would not be so quick to dismiss my pursuit.
I'm not dismissing the sentiment, only the method.
The mortal races cannot be trusted to change on their own. They die too quickly, forget too readily, fall prey too easily to their vices. If there can be any hope, it must lie in arcane intervention.
You seem like a studied man. I'm sure then that you know there are limits to magic, even divine.
Limits are meant to be pushed.
Many have tried.
Many did not want it enough.
If you think I don't understand because I lack your experience, then open my eyes. Tell me what you've seen.
It would take eons to tell you all that I've seen, young man.
Neither of us are dying anytime soon. Try me.
I was not always so cynical of the world, though it is a view commonly held among my people. Call it a consequence of our extended lifespans and the jadedness it brings. We moonlit elves live twice as long as other elves, owing apparently to a drop of celestial blood in our lineage. But we are few, and most of us enjoy seclusion in the hidden city of Ethelyn, far to the north where the nights grow long. The home of the moonlit elves is unlike any you have seen, I guarantee it. Towers and spires made of glass that shimmer under the canopy of stars like crystalline moonlight. Our fireflies glow violet, drifting by the dozens through the streets and blanketing the hills around our homes in a heatless fire. There are vast gardens of lunar flowers you could only imagine, kept and propagated by ancient botanists who've had more than a millennium to master their craft. And most of all, there is peace. There are no battles, no invaders, no crimes. Only a tight-knit society hell-bent on protecting its own. Sometimes I wish I'd never left. Surely I would have been better off. But in the mind of a young elf of 80 years, peace can be misconstrued as complacency. A few of our kind had the task of traveling beyond our lands and returning with news of world events and scholarly progress. One day, they returned with word of an impending calamity, an organized group of dragons with the goal of subjugating the mortal races, one scorched kingdom at a time. The leaders of Ethelyn seemed content to leave this war to the rest of mortal kind, so long as we were safely beyond its reach. I and a few others among the youth were not. I was eager to make a difference, to prove that I could enact real change in the world beyond. My elders were not pleased. It is unkind of you to freeze the river. You'll kill the fish.
So you came to say goodbye. I was sure you wouldn't.
You have never given me the credit I deserve, Dariel. Not since my first day as your pupil.
In that you are wrong. I have always known your potential, Aalos, but I knew that if I spoke it aloud, you would let it go to your head.
You know my capabilities, but still, you protest my leaving.
My protests are not because I think you will not succeed. I merely think your mission is folly to begin with.
Saving the world is a folly?
The world is always ending, Aalos, and yet it never does. Iathis will outlive even us, regardless of whether the moonlit elves get involved. It is better then to spare the lives of our own and let the rest of the mortal races throw their lives away, battling the evils they wrought.
It's not their fault that their homes are being consumed by dragonfire.
Was it not a human man who set the dragons free? This is what you do not understand. They never learn. History is a guidebook for peace, but they refuse to open it. Calamity is a cycle as predictable as the seasons. As soon as this danger passes, another will rise in its place, and then another, until the youngest among us are naught but bones.
That is a poor reason not to fight.
You were wrong. I didn't kill them.
I'm sorry?
The fish. Come, look. I could only freeze the surface. See, there they go, carried by the current beneath. Soon the ice will thaw, and the rushing water will break it to pieces before sending it downstream. No matter how hard I try to freeze the river, I cannot stop its flow. It has a will of its own.
This feels like one of your vague moral analogies that never land like you think they do.
I was there when the Ascension War began. In a jealous rage, the god of the sun slew the goddess of love, unable to bear the fact that he could not keep her as his own. Deciding that they could not suffer a traitor in their midst, the other gods put him to death as well.
I know the story, Dariel.
It is not a story, Aalos. It is my life. 2 dead gods, 2 empty spots in Celestia. When Amor and Exal's celestial cities suddenly appeared in the mortal realm, free for the taking, all hells broke loose. The champions of the remaining gods gathered armies to themselves and set out to conquer one city or the other. I fought in one such army. The celestial beings that inhabited the cities went feral without their gods, slaughtering any of us who came near. Angels against people, people against each other. It was the bloodiest war in the history of Iathis, right up until the cities were finally claimed and 2 mortals ascended to become the new Amor and Exal. After the war finally ended, there was so much relief. Grief, yes, but relief as well. No longer would mothers need to worry about their children running off to die so that someone else could become a god. There was a short era of peace after that, as the world was tired of bloodshed. Somehow, I fooled myself into believing it would stay that way. Of course I was wrong, and there was another war and another. No matter how hard I tried to freeze the world in that state of relative peace, the ice would thaw, and the current would break it to pieces. It is a cycle, Aalos, and we cannot end it. We can only keep out of its way.
Perhaps it is a cycle, but people like me who stand to face the danger are an essential part of it. If any part of this cycle should fail to rise up, let it be the evil and not the good.
You will not be satisfied with a single victory, Aalos, because one victory is not what you seek. Soon you will not even see them as victories at all, only short convalescences. You will try to heal the world, and you will fail.
This is not how I wanted our goodbye to go, Dariel. I've chosen my path, and you cannot stop me. At least wish me well as I go off to fight dragons.
I wish you safety, and a swift spell hand, but most of all, I wish you to return quickly.
I will return when the danger has passed.
Then you will not return.
Is this what I'm cursed to become when I'm older? A faithless coward who refuses to come to the aid of his fellow mortals?
You are cursed to become wise. You will see.
If this is wisdom, then I will gladly remain a fool.
Nothing changes, Aalos. Nothing ever changes.
5 dragons dead. The rest sent flying with their tails between their legs. You hear that? That's the sound of victory, lads and lasses. Huzzah!
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 Be honest. How many times did y'all think we were gonna die?
I can count at least 3 times that you specifically did die. And we had to expend some very expensive diamonds to bring you back before you were too far gone.
Hey, I'm not the one who jumped directly into a dragon's mouth and had to get poor Aalos to jump in after and fish me out.
It was no problem, really.
Ugh, I can still feel its stomach juices on my skin. It smelled like sulfur and fennel for some reason.
Maybe he had fennel salad before the battle. Dragons are famously vegetarians.
They are?
No, dumbass.
Why are you so mean?
Would you all mind if I said a few words?
What, the old geezer has a speech for us?
Hey, I might be old compared to you, but for my kind, I'm still a spring chicken.
I've never seen an 80-year-old chicken before.
Oh, but that would be adorable.
No, it'd be all wrinkly and bold and gross.
Oh, its feathers would have fallen out to show its saggy chicken breasts.
Its legs wouldn't work because of chicken arthritis.
Probably has chicken diabetes.
It needs to watch its chicken blood sugar.
I still think it would be cute.
Hey! Speech?
Oh, right. What's on your mind, Ancient One?
4 men and women. That's all we are. When passing us on the street, one might easily disregard us, but together, we did something spectacular. Not because we're special, but because we cared. Some are saying that we saved the world, and whether or not that is true, we certainly protected it from something terrible. We set out to make a difference, and we succeeded. People can now rest easy and begin to rebuild their lives because we refused to back down. To all the doubters and the naysayers who said we couldn't do it, let tonight fly in the face of their disbelief. Let history remember this as the day that peace began.
Hell, I'll drink to that. To peace!
To peace!
Excuse me? Are you Aalos the sorcerer?
Why, indeed I am, little one.
I heard you blew up a dragon from the inside.
Don't remind me.
I did indeed, but I have to say, I can't recommend it. I took quite a scorching myself, but unlike the dragon, I made it out in one piece. And you know what? I kept a few souvenirs too.
Whoa.
Here, you can keep it. They say sleeping with a dragon scale underneath your pillow brings good luck.
Really?
It's yours, my young friend.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. When I grow up, I want to be just like you. I want to get big and strong and blow up dragons.
Well, hopefully, when you're older, the world won't need you to blow up any dragons.
The world is always going to need someone to blow up dragons.
Aalos? Are you all right?
Yeah, fine.
You better be, because I'm calling for an arm wrestling rematch. You magic types aren't supposed to be so damn strong, and I train every day for this, goddammit.
Your funeral. The first victory is sweet. When you're young, it is so easy to get caught up in the thrill of battle and the adoration that follows. I could have returned to Ethelyn, but I knew all that awaited me there were the judgmental gazes of Dariel and the other elders. Out here, though, my bravery was celebrated, so I stayed to help rebuild, and soon I watched my very first companions grow old and die. It seemed like I blinked and a century passed, and suddenly there was another war for the fate of Iathis, begun by the greed of mortals. I looked around wanting to say, do you not remember the carnage we only just endured? How could you be ready so soon for another calamity? But most of the people who had lived through the dragon's reign had already died of old age, and it was their children and grandchildren who now held the reins of power. They did not remember. They did not heed the cautionary tales of their predecessors, and because of it, more of them would die. So again, I joined the fray. And again, I helped save the world.
I'll keep him busy. Olna, destroy the phylactery.
On it.
Death has come to reclaim you, Lich. Do not fight it.
Cannot have me, elf. The mortal flames will be mine, and not even the gods can match.
Gross.
The Lich is dead. The Lich is dead! The war is over!
And again.
Your armies are defeated, King Raelus. It's finished.
My armies may be defeated, but I still stand. Kill me if you can, sorcerer. I did not rise to power through weakness and cowardice.
No more tyrants. And again.
Long have I looked forward to destroying you, sorcerer. We dragons do not easily forget those who wrong us, even when centuries pass.
I defeated you and your kin once, and I will do it again.
You had companions then. Now you are alone.
Am I?
What?
Surprise, you fugly-ass lizard!
War after war, victory after bitter victory. The illusion that my contributions were truly making a difference began to crumble. Sometimes it took 100 years, and sometimes it took a decade. But mortal kind always regressed to its old ways. If I and my companions had been making any sort of change in the world, then why did the world keep needing us? When was it to end? When could I hang up my staff and relish in the peace that I'd fought so hard to bring about? The cycle wore on me. I was a statue eroded by time, unrecognizable from what I used to be. Once a champion of hope, I began failing to find any within myself.
Why the long face, Aalos? It's a party, huh? You've more reason than any of us to celebrate, seeing as this is the second time you've saved the world from dragons.
I'm not in the mood for celebration today, Jorrik. I haven't been for decades.
Hey, tell me what's on your mind, friend.
Don't let this old man's problems hinder you from enjoying the night.
Well, it's too late for that. I keep looking around and seeing you sitting over here all alone in your cups, and it's put a damper on your mood. Now, I'm the last dwarf to ever forbid a man from drinking, but this seems to be an indulgence of the mopey type, not the joyful one.
Nothing changes.
What's that?
It's what my mentor told me 1,000 years ago when I left home to save the world. Nothing changes. For the last millennium, I've been trying to prove her wrong, but with every year that passes, it becomes more and more clear that she was right. There's a new tragedy around every bend, a new struggle to join, a new evil to vanquish. When will it end?
You elves, you're always thinking about what might be instead of appreciating what is. But sure, bad things happen all the time, but you know what else happens all the time? Birthday parties, festivals, weddings, drinking contests. Especially drinking contests, because I always win. There's so much to be joyful about in this world. And all your long years, have you ever just stopped and smelled the fucking roses? Or are you always so dour? Because well, that sounds pretty miserable to me.
If you had lived my life, you
respectfully bogus. I've never lived your life, but friend, you've never lived mine. It's short and sweet, like me, but riddled with venom, like everyone else's. Hope is not a privilege for the short-lived. There's plenty to go around.
I'm tired, Jorrik. I'm tired of the same old darkness. I'm approaching my limit.
From where I'm sitting, it's not the darkness of the world you've got to conquer. It's the darkness of your own mind. I can't blame you for thinking the way you do. Time wears on the heart like water on stone, slow but sure. But just for tonight, try to take a moment to breathe in what you've accomplished instead of worrying about the trials of next fucking century. Life is too long to spend it anticipating the next disaster. You have friends here who care about you, and I'm not the only one who's concerned that you are drinking alone.
I'm sorry.
Well, I'll only accept your apology if you come dance to this jaunty little jig the bard's playing, eh? Tell me it didn't put a spring in your step.
Alright. Fine.
There you go, lad.
I'm far too old for you to be calling me lad.
Nonsense, lad.
Over the course of a millennium, I was a member of countless mercenary groups, parties of fighters and mages and druids who each cared about making a difference. Eventually, I came to resist getting attached, as I'd seen too many companions fall to the brutalities of this life. But then I landed in my most recent party, a group called Beacon. The name evoked the image of a light in darkness, a single candle in a windowless room. For a time, that was what we were. And for the first time in centuries, I felt hope that somehow ours would be the last hero's story. We faced the cult called Bellum Eternum, which translates to eternal war in Celestial. They attempted to plunge the world into chaos, believing that if they pulled the strings of individual governments, they could keep Iathis in a perpetual state of war, an unending sacrifice to Beligor.
I remember hearing about this cult from patrons like yourself over 70 years ago. I found it laughable. The god of war may as well be a second god of justice, and Beligor would be more likely to support an army raised to strike the cult down than accept such a horrible sacrifice.
Perhaps he should have kept his followers on a tighter leash then, but I digress. It was I and the other members of Beacon who finally wiped out Bellum Eternum, hunting down every one of their leaders until they disappeared. The world rejoiced, sang our praises, wrote about us in the papers. But a few years later, on another mission, one of our members, my dear friend Keem, lost her arm in battle and was forced to retire. Her partner, Elwyn, left Beacon with her, and soon we were disbanded. That was fine by me. I was more than tired of fighting by then, and it wasn't the first disillusion of a party that I'd endured. Years passed. I took part in grand quests less and less, preferring to visit my old friends from Beacon and indulge them as they recounted the glory days. Keem, the one who was forced to retire, fell ill. Her memory became foggy, and her physical vitality was fading. So I paid her and Elwyn one more visit before coming here.
I told you the tale about the heroes of Amoris? Oh, there were quite some heroes, I'll have you know. Excuse me.
I don't think I've heard that one, Keem. How does it go?
Oh, let me tell you, my boy. About 75 years ago, there was a group of adventurers named Starbright. No. Wait, it was, Starborn. No, that's not. No, it was Light something. Something about Light.
Beacon?
No, that's a silly name. Anyway, this Star something or other group were adventurers, tasked with defeating an offshoot cult of Beligor. They wanted to start a war that would last forever, the rascals. But, Starbright. They were up to the task. There was... No, wait a minute. What were their names? There was...
This is a wonderful story, Keem. Excuse me for a moment.
Aalos, where are you going? Are you leaving without eating? You were so grumpy last time because I didn't make cookies.
Elwyn, she doesn't remember me.
Please sit, Aalos. It's not like you to just storm out of the place. know it's hard to see her deteriorate like this. Believe me, I know it's hard. But you can't just run. You of all people should know that.
I know. 3 companions of mine have had this disease in the past, but I was never close to them. This is the first time I'm watching it happen to a friend.
I'm sorry, Aalos. You've been through enough, and I'm sure it's hard to see her like this. I can't say I was prepared to watch this happen to my partner either.
Gods. I'm such a fool, Elwyn. Here I am lamenting to you when this is your day-to-day. Is there anything I can do for you, old friend?
I could use a hug.
Of course. Oh, there's that Goliath strength.
She lets me come to visit, you know. She may not remember your face, but I think part of her knows you and is comforted by your presence. She loves to tell stories about Beacon. Look, she reads this old paper every day.
Beacon shines through. I hated that headline.
No one writes about us anymore, do they?
No. They've all but forgotten what we did. They always do.
Don't be so fatalistic. We still did the thing, whether they remember it or not.
Keem has forgotten us too. She couldn't remember the name of our group even when I said it right to her face.
What she does remember means a lot to her. Aalos, every morning she asks me if I remember our first date. It's silly, yes. Maybe a bit annoying at times. But I love her, and I love our story. I'll never get tired of that.
Elwyn, you are an extraordinary man. It brings me peace to know that she has you.
I do my best. But I'm sure you've met more extraordinary men than me in your time.
You would be surprised. I've been disappointed more often than not, and it's always the truly good ones that get forgotten. You know, the Beacon was one of a dozen groups of so-called heroes that I've joined. I've lost count of how many times I've helped to vanquish a foe just like Bella Maternum. Or worse.
Yes, I get it, Aalos. You're as old as death.
Nothing changes. Again, it comes back to that phrase, nothing changes. I feel cursed to watch people repeat history every decade. It's maddening.
Isn't it refreshing, then, that you know heroes will rise to face the challenge? Don't you see some hope in that? Even if it isn't us, there will always be a beacon.
No. The cycle must end, Elwyn. Keem saved the world from an eternal war, and look where it got her. Suffering alone with you in a shack by the ocean, forgotten. Her bravery unrewarded. She'll die knowing that all her efforts were in vain. I don't want that to be how my story ends.
Don't you dare use the love of my life to justify your ceaseless dissatisfaction with the world. Who are you to decide the way things should be? Nobody wants to suffer, but this is the reality we were born into, and it's damn near time you accepted it.
The moment I accept it is the moment it becomes impossible.
It was impossible from the start.
Lunella, give me grace. I'm sorry, friend. I'm so sorry. I should not have lashed out at you like that. I've found it increasingly difficult to remain calm over the years, but that is no excuse. Please forgive my outburst.
It's okay. I can't imagine what you've seen.
I wouldn't wish it on you. I must go. I have business to attend to.
If you must. Take some cookies for the road. You know I don't like sweets. I only ever make them for you and Keem.
Of course. Thank you.
Where is it that you're going?
They say the definition of madness is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. Well, it's time to try something new.
I'm sorry, Aalos. You won't find what you seek in these woods.
How can you be so certain? Have you ever tried?
I know intimately the limitations of the wishing well and the magic that feeds it. If it were within the capabilities of magic to alter the nature of mortal kind, end the cycle of evil and destruction, there are many among the gods who would have already done so. But they haven't, because even they are subject to those whims. If your wish is to tap into the magic of the divine to force people to heed the lessons of the past, I'm afraid first you'd have to teach the gods.
So what, then? I'm supposed to give up? If you had spent 1,000 years working towards a goal, would you give it up so easily?
I don't think it's impossible for mortal kind to change, but there are no shortcuts. Like you said, Iathis has had many lives, many failures, but it keeps coming back to try again, and maybe, just maybe, one of these times it'll succeed. You've done your part many times over. Iathis owes you a debt it can never repay, but you can repay it to yourself by finally taking a well-deserved rest.
Are you advising surrender?
I'm advising retirement. To put it bluntly, Aalos, you're getting too old for this shit.
I am, aren't I?
Your friend Elwyn said it best. There will always be another beacon. There comes a time in the life of every master craftsman where he must relinquish his tools to the apprentice and watch on with pride, and surely some envy, as the youth continues his work.
This was my last resort. If you tell me that even the gods cannot accomplish my vision, then I suppose it really is time, isn't it?
You've known it was coming.
Perhaps. But knowing and accepting are two different things.
Might I make a suggestion, one old man to another? You came here looking to heal the world, but the world itself is composed of smaller worlds. The people you love, the places you live, the things you hold dear. In your little world, you have a friend who is fading and another who is terrified to lose her. That is one thing the wishing well can heal.
One last gift to an old friend, huh?
I would hate for you to leave this place empty-handed.
I am grateful. Kindly, show me the way. Here. Take this.
What is it?
Some clues about how to find Ethelyn. I think you would like it there. If you ever manage to leave this place.
The hidden city of the Moonlit Elves. Are you sure you trust me with this?
No, and yes. I have a good feeling about you. I've grown shrewd in my old age, and I have a knack for assessing the heart of a person. I can't help but trust you to keep the secret.
I'm honored.
Thank you for your wise words, Wren. I plan to return to my home, but I do hope our paths cross again someday.
I as well.
You asked to see me. Your messenger made it seem urgent.
Close the door.
Why the secrecy?
Why the secrecy, indeed?
I don't know what you mean.
Do you recall the first time one of our kin died, Mortaine? The first time Iathis was robbed of a god?
It is not something easily forgotten. It came as a shock to us all.
Since time immemorial, we believed ourselves to be unkillable, even by each other's hands. Now suddenly that illusion faded. And now I am required to rule over my own kind, who are meant to be my equals, to ensure that such a calamity never happens again.
And you have governed us fairly, and wisely, Judge. What greater fetter for the passions of the gods than justice incarnate?
I did not summon you for flattery, Mortaine. I summoned you Because for the first time in millennia, I fear that my laws have not been enough to protect us and the mortal world from repeating history.
What has you so afraid?
There is a traitor among us.
Why do you think so?
The God Killer has gone missing.
I thought you had hidden the weapon where no one could find it.
Apparently I was not thorough enough. I placed it in Sable's care 2,000 years ago, hoping it would be safe in his sanctum. I have just received word from him that it's disappeared.
The god of the Shadowfell. What possessed you to entrust him, of all people, with a weapon capable of killing us?
The God Killer can only be touched by a god of Celestia. It is worthless in the possession of a deity in another plane. The havoc of the Ascension War was reflected in his domain as well, so he was more than happy to watch over the blade that started it all.
So, one of us infiltrated the Shadowfell and stole the God Killer from under Sable's nose.
There is no other possibility. Someone among us intends to kill one of our own.
I can't imagine. Who would want to start another Ascension War? The world hardly recovered from the first.
That is what I called you here to find out. Among the gods, you and Beligor have always been the most loyal to me and to your own station. Thus, you are the only ones to whom I am entrusting this information. If the traitor discovers that we know, it may push them to move faster. We can also rule out Exel. It was his predecessor who created the blade, and if he wished, he could merely forge another. Still, I believe it best not to put our faith in a younger god.
Do you have any suspicions as to who it may be?
I believe one of our number jumped into both of our minds as soon as we learned of treachery.
Guile.
Guile indeed. The god of trickery does not seem to understand consequences or fear them. Too many times have his tricks gone too far. Stealing the God Killer, whether it is to kill one of us or simply to launch us into panic, is exactly the kind of chaos he revels in.
What would you like me to do?
Keep an eye on the other gods, especially Guile, and report to me if you observe any suspicious behavior. Beligor is already doing the same. Oh, and I'll need you to refrain from visiting the mortal world until this is dealt with.
No.
No.
I only meant the traitor might suspect something if I start acting out of the norm. Is it not best for me to operate as I usually do?
I suppose you are right. But limit your visits as much as you can. Cannot have you losing any modicum of your power by being away from Celestia for too long. If this escalates to a confrontation, you must be able to defend yourself.
Understood.
Good. You are dismissed. And Mortaine, continue to keep an eye out for as well. Time is growing dangerously short.
I shall.
Broken and weary are these bones. The ancient sun is called back home. Calloused and bloody are these hands. I have bled my soul into these lands. But the moon gives her light unto me. Ooh, like to listen to the full song inspired by this episode, you can find it by searching Moonlit Lullaby by Chase Noseworthy wherever you get your music. If you would like to support the show, as well as get early access to episodes as soon as they're finished, you can support us at patreon.com/thebardic Hearth. Anything you can give means the world. Aalos was created and played by Oathbreaker Cary. Cary makes super funny and down-to-earth content on TikTok about TTRPGs and video games like Baldur's Gate 3, and I guarantee you'll have a smile on your face as soon as you go watch his videos. You can find him on TikTok at Oathbreaker_Cary. Wren, the male adventurer, the dragon, and Elwyn were all played by Chase Noseworthy. The Lich, Soldier, King Raelus, and Jorrik were played by Troy Allen. The mysterious woman and the little boy were played by Karenna Foley. Mortaine and Female Adventurer number 1 were played by Rochelle Ibarra. Female Adventurer 2 and Olna were played by Lilli Furfaro. Dariel and Keem were played by Paula Boudreau. Judge was played by Jesse Jerdak. This episode was co-written by Chase Noseworthy and Oathbreaker Cary and produced by Chase Noseworthy.